for those of you that are there, I'm gonna wait 1 minute as the participant numbers continue to increase. Before I get going with the meat of the presentation, we'd like to get as many people on here to start as we can. So I'm gonna wait just 1 more minute here. Thank you all that have joined. Okay, I'll get going. Welcome to Evergreen Middle School's Q&A night with the principal. I appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. And I'm hoping there's some kids out there that are watching too. I look forward to seeing you in a Zoom class next week because we are just 1 week away. So my name is Mike Steiner. I'm proud to be the principal at Evergreen Middle School where good things happen. And I would also like to introduce a couple of people that will be part of the webinar tonight. The first is Shireen, and Shireen will act as our moderator. Throughout this presentation, if you have questions, what I'd like you to do is please go down to the Q&A box and type those questions in to that box as we are presenting our slides. We'll have a chance at the end to answer those questions. You could potentially see another name, Marla Nunberg, respond to your question while we're still going through our presentation slides. So you can look for Marla's name too in that Q&A box. And the last person I'd like to introduce who is here with us tonight and will be part of the presentation is our grade 6 and 8 counselor, Natalie Newtonboom.
Yes, hello. I wanted to say hello to everyone and welcome back, friendly faces. And if you are a parent of a 7th grader or a 7th grade student and you had Mrs. Kamala last year for your counselor or you're new, she will be our 7th grade counselor this year. She just isn't here tonight. So I'll represent us tonight. And this year I'll be working with 6th and 8th graders and she'll be working with 7th graders. Good to see everyone. Good to have you see me. Wish I could see you.
So it is a little bit different for us because we can see each other, but not you. And like I said, for those that have kids that are taking part in this, I can't wait to see you next week when we're Zooming for real at school. Tonight, we're going to share details about Evergreen Middle School's back to school plan, and we'll answer questions that you might have so you know exactly what it's going to look like when we start school next week. We miss our students, and we're disappointed it's going to be a bit longer before we get to see them in person, but I want you to know that we're so excited about the new learning platforms and opportunities we have for our kids to keep them connected and engaged. And we've set up a great schedule so we can transition back and forth from online to in-person learning when it's safe to do so. The Central Valley School District is committed to the health and safety of our students, our staff, and our families. And as such, it is important that we follow the directions of our local health experts when we look at reopening our building and bringing kids back in and everyone being safe. We have established every health protocol, and so we're prepared for that when the time arises. And as soon as they deem it to be safe for us to be back in person, we'll be there. So, and the last thing I want to say to you that have joined us, I'm so grateful for the continued support of our GRIZZY families, our staff. Our staff has worked hard leading up to the start of school to make this the best it can be for our kids, and moving forward together with the community, you as parents, to deliver the best we can for our students is what's most important. So again, welcome. As we go through these slides, please, again, go down to the Q&A box in the bottom and type questions that you might have. So at that, I'll begin. Okay, so I want to mention something else as we see a lot of information on this first slide. I don't want you to sit at home and try to write down all of this information on a notepad or in a piece of paper. We're going to post this. Both the recording will be posted on our website. And all of these slides are going to be available to you, posted on our website as well. So all of this information, because there's quite a bit that's going to come at you tonight, it's all going to be available on our website. Just this screen, what I want you to recognize is our office staff. There are a lot of people who are waiting and ready to support and answer questions, any questions you have as we start school next week. So, and I'm not going to read through all of these, but you'll see we've got listed, all of our secretaries are listed, both the counselors, our nurses are also listed, school psychologists, that kind of stuff. So all this information will be posted to our website. Tonight's agenda, we're going to talk about Chromebook distribution, meal distribution and access for our kids, our planners that our PTA has purchased for our kids that are at the school. We'll talk and look at class schedules, and we'll talk about Blackboard login for kids. I want to talk briefly about our back to school night opportunity that will happen next Tuesday, what the first day of school is going to look like. We'll run through a daily schedule or typical school day, and then we'll talk about the plan for in-person learning. And at the end, again, we'll answer questions that you might have that haven't been answered. So first with Chromebook distribution, and I want to point out that if you still have a Chromebook from the spring and it still functions and works properly, awesome. I know in my house, my 8th grader, yesterday I said, I need you to plug in that Chromebook and make sure you can log in and get that thing fired up and ready to go for next week. So, we've done that in the Siren household. So if you have the Chromebook from last year and it still works, awesome. If you have the Chromebook and there is something wrong and it's not functioning properly for the start of school, here's what I want you to know. Monday through Friday, there's 2 time slots. There's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then there's a break, and then we go 3 to 7. From now through September 11th, and we've been doing this for a while, you can have an opportunity to go to Central Valley High School or University High School and pick up or exchange a Chromebook that might not be working. So please know, I think it's good that we plug those in and make sure students are comfortable with, yep, this is working, or a screen might have a crack, whatever the case might be. I want you to make sure and go to either Central Valley High School or University High School now through September 11th and exchange that Chromebook for a good working Chromebook. Central Valley School District is also working to provide internet options and resources for families. I do know that the county is working with the district, looking at providing and putting in more hotspots throughout our school district in order to help alleviate some of those web issues that some people might have. Another cool feature that our district has put into place is the help desk. And beginning September 9th, you'll be able to call in from 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Actually, they're going to have that live on Tuesday, and I'll talk about that in another slide. But every day that we have live in-person instruction virtually, if you have trouble with technology, you'll be able to call a number to a help desk and be connected to someone that can help walk you through issues you might be having. Natalie, I'll have you talk about meal distribution.
Okay, this slide is important for those of you wanting to get breakfast or lunch at school or even at a nearby building. Things are constantly changing. This is the most up-to-date information that we actually got today. And you have some options about meals. You can choose weekly to pick up what's going to look like a meal box, a meal kit that will have 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches inside the box. So the groceries are in there and so are the instructions. And you can pick that up at Evergreen, but you could also pick that up at a school that's closer to your home. You can pick that up in any school if you want to do your pickup once a week, if that works for your family. That's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, any school building, full box. Okay, it shows the times there that you can go to, and you'll go through the bus lane no matter what school it is. If you'd rather do it daily, kind of like we did in the spring, and you want to pick up your lunch and breakfast together in one bag, you can also do the curbside meal pickup at any school 11 to 1. So that's just going to be in the afternoon time, 11 to 1. And it's just going to be a bag that has one breakfast, one lunch, but you can do that any day of the week. That's any student in your family. That's anyone 0 to 18. They don't even have to be a Central Valley School District student. So just know that that's how meals are working. It's free to everyone at least through December. That's the newest information that we have about meals. And I believe that this is also on the Central Valley School District website if you look at nutrition services. So they'll be keeping that up to date. This is what's happening now, but things are constantly changing. So keep an eye on that. The other thing I'm going to talk about is the planner and school supplies. As Mr. Siren mentioned, our PTA has funded our planners and they look great. There's a picture of it there in the corner. You can come and pick one up. We have enough one per student, so if the planner is something you use, and I would recommend that you use it, you can come to the school any day between September 8th and 11th, and you'll pick it up right in our foyer, that entrance part of our school building. You need to wear a mask and you need to practice distancing, but you'll be able to actually enter the foyer, pick up your planner, so that you'll have that at home so you can follow along. I know some of your teachers are going to expect you to use a planner. You can have that. And then the school supply list has been updated, and there's a live link to it here, but you can also get that on the Evergreen Middle School website that has been updated. And this morning we had a sneak peek for 6th graders, and we talked about you probably don't need a ton of school supplies, but being sure that you have the working Chromebook and you have the charging cord for the Chromebook and a planner, and then maybe at least a notebook, pencils, things like that. And then if you have an art class or something that shows up, you may need some art supplies. So check out the school supply list also.
Okay. As we go to the next slide and look at class schedules and Blackboard, I want to make it clear to students and families that Blackboard is our single platform sign-on. So all students will log into Blackboard every day when they start their day. That's where they're going. They're going to log into Blackboard, and from Blackboard, they will have teachers that will have perhaps other links that will take them somewhere else, but they won't have to log into those other platforms. They are logging into Blackboard, and in the announcements section of that first period class or second period class or third period class, there will be links that teachers have posted there. So we talked this morning about Blackboard being the schoolhouse itself, and then where students will navigate in Blackboard would be into different classrooms, different assignments, that kind of stuff. So you know, it's one of those things that there shouldn't be any confusion. Once a student logs into Blackboard, they have everything that they need that they'll find in Blackboard itself. We have a CBSD login instruction sheet. And again, when you are able to click on this presentation off of our website, you'll see that sheet. We're also going to send one home, and it has a variety of logins, and it for both parents and students before school starts that you'll be able to familiarize yourself with and take a look at those different logins. But for kids, what they need to know, and for parents, I want to ease your angst as far as do they have to sign into Google Classroom, and it goes on and on. They will have a single sign-in, and that sign-in will be Blackboard. For class schedules will be available in PowerSchool and live on Tuesday afternoon, September 8th. Access to the schedule in PowerSchool will be for both students and their student login, and then for 6th grade parents who maybe haven't set up a parent portal in PowerSchool, that'll be on that sheet, and you'll be able to create that so you'll have your own login where you can look at those classes. And in PowerSchool, that's where you're going to see grades, assignments that have been turned in. You'll see in some cases daily grades, but teachers will update PowerSchool with up-to-date grades every Friday. I talked briefly about the CBSD Help Desk, and that will be open on September 8th from 8 to 4 p.m. So as you are logging in or you're going through some dry runs with your kid, if you have a question, the phone number is there, 558-5457, for you to call in and get some help if you've got specific questions. I'm excited for our kids to offer a back to school night virtually on Tuesday, September 8th. We're going to do that from 6:30 to 7:30. And there'll be a link to a WebEx link. I'm also going to send that out in a Blackboard email. So you'll see a WebEx link in which you will join a WebEx. I'm going to talk with Natalie and Anna briefly no more than 10 minutes. And then what we'll do is we'll stop that meeting and students will log into Blackboard, and our teachers are going to be prepared to go with Zoom classroom links that night. And so after we briefly talk for 5 to 10 minutes, students will log into Blackboard. They're going to go to their first period class, and you, parents and kids, will be able to interact with the teachers. They're going to spend 10 minutes in first period, 10 minutes in second period, 10 minutes in third period with 5-minute passing, so we can log off of a Zoom and get ready to log into another one. But I think that's going to be great for our kids and our parents to get to at least meet those teachers the night before school starts. Again, you'll see a WebEx link come to you in a Blackboard email, and it will also be posted to our website. And just a big reminder, our first day of classes will start September 9th on Wednesday. Students, this is important. So we want you to please attempt a Blackboard login at some point on Tuesday. This is where you're going to go at 8:30 in the morning on Wednesday when first period starts for the start of the school year. So on Tuesday, again, we want you to log in. If you log in before Tuesday, if you are able to log in before Tuesday and you see classes, what I need you to know is classes are still being changed and shifted in PowerSchool. And so that's why I think it's important to wait until Tuesday when classes are set. And then when you do log in, you're going to know those are your classes, and those classes aren't going to change for the first time.
And the Blackboard login instructions will be on that sheet. Just a reminder.
Yes. So this next slide looks at a virtual example of a middle school schedule. So for student 1, first period is going to be their English class, English language arts. Second period is going to be an exploratory class. In this case, we've listed health and fitness. And then third period could be a history. Student 2 could have a math first period, an exploratory second period, and then go to science third period. What I want you to know is we have teamed kids as best we can in cohorts. And therefore, when we're able to open up and kids come back to school, they stay with the team for their 2 core classes. It was almost impossible to get them scheduled and cohorted into their exploratory classes. But for our 6th graders, their core classes are first and second period, and then third period is when their exploratory happens. For our 7th graders, they're going to start their day in their exploratory class, and then they will have their core classes, periods 2 and 3. And then for our 8th graders, exploratory class happens in the middle of their day in period 2. Login time for students will be 8:30 to 8:35, and we're going to be ready to go with our first period classes at 8:35. We're getting 90-minute class periods. So they'll go to 10:05, and then there's going to be a passing period where students can grab a snack, go to the restroom, whatever they need to do to get prepared for their next class, and so on and so forth. You see lunch is 30 minutes there from 11:45 to 12:15, and then at 12:20, the final period of the day will start. And they will end their day. So they'll start their day at 8:30, they'll end their day at 1:50. And that transition period, independent wrap-up time can be probably with their third period teacher, but there's also going to be a time if students need to contact and get in touch with another teacher that they've had previously in the day. So our teachers will be accessible and available for those kids in that last hour of the day as well. A typical school day at Evergreen Middle School. So when they log in, our teachers, and I'm going to speak first to Character Strong, and I'm a firm believer in relationships in this business, and establishing relationships virtually is going to be critical for all of our kids, because we've got our 7th and 8th graders that are going to be with teachers they've never had before. They might be familiar with the face, but not who that person is. So every teacher is going to start the school year with a brief relationship type activity from our Character Strong curriculum. And I want you to know that. Kind of fun and games for kids to get to know each other, for kids to get to know the teachers, and most importantly for our teachers to get to know our kids. So when that live instruction starts, there's going to be some relationship building at the start of the year. There's going to be the core instruction or the meat of the lesson itself. Same with our exploratories. When they log in, there'll be core instruction. And then what will happen is teachers are going to put kids in smaller groups, breakout sessions in this new Zoom that we have available It's an awesome feature where teachers have the ability to group or pair students in small groups of 2 or maybe groups of 4, and they go into breakout sessions while some guided practice or direct instruction might continue with a small group of students in the main classroom. And then partway through the lesson, our teacher is going to bounce into those breakout rooms and or switch and take those kids that are still with he or she and then move them to breakout rooms while those kids will then work with each other on work that has been assigned. Natalie, I'll let you talk about the resources on this slide.
Okay. I guess the first thing I want to say about the resources is thinking about your teachers and just giving you that visual of you only have that 18 to 29 students in your classroom. So when you're meeting with your teacher, you're going to have the option to ask some questions. And as Mr. Siren said, the breakout rooms and things. If you still have questions, remember there's that hour every day from 2 to 3 o'clock that you have teacher access. So that's a huge resource. What you want to do is you'll either email your teacher directly, or you can call your teacher's school phone to leave a message, or the teacher will have other ways they want you to contact them so that they know that you're wanting to chat with them on Monday at 2 o'clock or Monday at 2:30. Okay, so the teacher access time is huge. Anna and I are both working full-time, so we are available to you. And I made a note here because I want you to know you also can email us, students or parents or guardians. You can email us directly. All students have a Central Valley School District email now, so it's your student ID number at cvsd356.org. Most of you older students already know that, and 6th graders will learn that and learn to use that. You can email us at any time. You can call our phone numbers, which are connected to this PowerPoint and also on the Evergreen Middle School webpage. And also we're going to have a Blackboard Counseling Connections. So when you log into Blackboard, you'll follow those instructions for your Blackboard login. You'll be able to see your classes listed, your first period, your second period, and your third period. You'll also see at the bottom, I think it might say it's an 8th period, but it will be on the very bottom of your Blackboard. It will say Counseling Connections. It'll either say 6th, 7th, or 8th. That will be your connection to your counselor. You'll be able to click on there and you'll see all kinds of other resources. That's where we'll put things that are food resources. They may be school district resources. They might be mental health resources. They might be small groups we're looking to run. But that is going to be where we're going to post everything that has to do with counseling or our support of you for your grade. And you will access that on Blackboard, just like any other classroom. So we're hoping that works great. And then below that, you'll see where it says school psychologist. Our school psychologist is Mrs. Stroh. And I made a note here because some of you have students that are in special education, have an IEP. You'll want to contact Mrs. Stroh if you have a question about the IEP. She is on that list of phone numbers, or you'll want to contact their teachers directly via email or their phone number if you have questions. So using the email, using the phone number, please access us. Even though it's virtual, we're there. We want to support you. We all want to support you.
Okay, I'm going to talk briefly about the transition to in-person learning when it's safe to do so. So we plan to open buildings as soon as we possibly can following Department of Health and Spokane Regional Health District guidelines. And I talked briefly about that in the beginning of the session. Priority is going to be on our youngest students. And so how does that affect the middle school? Well, it does affect us because what we're doing when we talk about priority on the youngest students, that's K-6 in our school district. And so we have scheduled our 6th grade classes to a maximum of 18 students per class, which allows for proper social distancing in our classrooms. And so when we pivot and we come back to in-person instruction, those kids, when they come to school, will be set up in a room that is social distance, which is awesome. We have health and safety protocols that are in place for the distancing, and we will have daily health checks and cleaning that will happen nonstop throughout the day. At the end of the school day, as students come in, we'll have stations set up where they will have attestation sheets that will have those stations manned with professionals that have been trained, and students can enter the building safely that way, and then they're going to know right where they're going to go. As we look at students coming back, we've started flow charts and what it will look like as students transition from a room to another room or so on and so forth, perhaps to the gym. So we have those charts that we are developing now in preparation for those kids coming back. All of our meals, transportation, our logistics are in place. So one of the things, though, I think I want to remind you, when we do come back to in-person, we're all going to have masks on. We'll practice that social distancing 6 feet apart. We're going to ask parents to really be diligent with students and how they're feeling. If they have symptoms, we're going to ask to keep those kids home. And then we're going to constantly be talking to the kids about washing their hands often. We've got different stations set up in the building now with hand sanitizer and that kind of stuff that'll be available for our kids. Okay, at this time, I would like to again introduce Shireen, who will go through Q&A for us, and either Natalie and I will answer your questions as best we can.
Great, thank you, Principal. Sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. Hopefully that's better. Sorry, folks, about the feedback. Hopefully that's better. Just troubleshoot our tech issues momentarily. Great. So as folks may have noticed, there is a Q&A feature. We've received some great questions already. So we'll just dive right in. There was a question about, can students get a Chromebook if they used a laptop last year?
Of course. I'll answer.
Students get a Chromebook if they used a laptop last year. Well, yes, they can. And all you have to do is go, you're going to want your student ID number as you go to your Central Valley or University High School to pick up that Chromebook. But as long as you have your student ID number, yes, those students are welcome to go to either one of those locations through September 11th and pick up a Chromebook.
Great, thank you. There are a couple questions about the ability to change classes. In particular, someone asked about being able to enroll in math and ELA for the entire year continuously. Is that something that's possible? Do you want to speak a little bit more to flexibility and options with changing classes?
I will speak to that. That's a good question. And I want you to, I want to remind folks that as we look at a quarter system with 90-minute class periods, what we have is a semester's worth of instruction in those core classes and even our exploratory classes. And so we've tried to divide as best we can math and ELA and have them offered separate quarters. So most of our kids will have history in a math class and a science and an ELA class, but we will not ask kids to take English both quarters and or math both quarters, because that would, with the instructional minutes, that would be a year's worth of material in a semester's worth of time.
Great, thanks for that. Some folks had questions about how students will be graded.
So another great question. Sorry, I think I muted myself. Students are going to be graded just like they would be graded in in-person instruction, live instruction at the start of the school year with all students in the building. And so teachers, as they're preparing their syllabi for their different classes, the grading policies will be in there for all of those classes. So some teachers vary on how they grade. Some are weighted. They have assessments weighted a little bit different than the daily participation points or weekly assignments, that kind of stuff. But all students and parents will have access to a syllabus for each class, and so they'll know how their assignments are being graded by their teachers.
Thank you. Another question came in specifically about band and choir classes and how those might look.
So in the virtual mode, what we have done for our band and orchestra, we have band and orchestra starting this first quarter, and we purchased a an online smart music, I should say, application that our kids are going to be able to use at home while they are working through different pieces of music or different assignments they might have from their band or orchestra instructor. When we go from first to second quarter and we look at some different music options, right now I'm not sure what that looks like for choir. We're working through that, and we'll have either a choir option that'll be available virtually, or we'll have another music exploratory class that'll be offered. When we return in person, to answer that question, we'll have those classes socially distanced, so those kids are safe in participating in those exploratory classes.
Great,
And
thank
again,
you.
those classes
Another
alternate on
question
quarters.
around IEPs and how those are being handled this year. More specifically, how do you get an IEP in place if you're new to the district or new to IEPs?
Natalie, would you like to answer that question?
I sure can. Again, Danielle Stroh is our school psychologist. So if you're coming in new to, especially to Central Valley School District from a different district, if you have previously had an IEP, you'll need to have a copy of that or contact Danielle in the building and she can contact the previous school. She can get a copy of that. If you're just concerned about your student's progress and this is something maybe you discussed at a previous school, call Danielle and talk with her about what that process will look like this year. It is always a process that takes different levels of testing, so it takes a little bit of time, but those things will still happen. If you felt like your student needed that kind of special education support, then we will still be able to evaluate them. We're just going to have some different guidelines around it. But Danielle Stroh is your contact in our building, and on this PowerPoint you'll find her name and her phone number, and I think it's also on the Evergreen Middle School website. Or you can just call the front of the school and we'll get her for you.
Great, thank you, Natalie. Another question specifically about the Blackboard login. I think some folks wanted clarification on how they might receive their Blackboard login.
You're gonna go on that login sheet. It's going to become clear. It doesn't seem that clear tonight, but when you can see this presentation and you can click on the hyperlinks, the login sheet will come up and it will explain to you exactly how to get into Blackboard, how you use your student number, how you do your login. You're also going to get an email, I think, from the district that has a PDF of instructions. And we're also going to have that login sheet attached to our Evergreen Middle School page, probably by tomorrow afternoon, I would guess. I just want to caution you that once you see the instruction, students, if you try to log into Blackboard and you see classes, those classes may not be exactly correct yet. We're still moving some things. So while you can totally practice the login and that doesn't hurt anything if you can get in there, know that your actual classes are set come Tuesday. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. But the login you will see when you follow the link and you see the sheet. It's pretty easy. Hope that answers that.
Great, thank you. There's some questions around the 9-week breaks, and I think folks are just curious how that will work.
I didn't understand which break. The breaks at 9 weeks? Is that what you said?
Yes, sorry.
So each 9 weeks represents basically a quarter's worth of time. So classes are changing every 9 weeks, if that's the question. So quarter 1 is 9 weeks, and then we'll go into quarter 2 instruction for 9 weeks. So you go for 9 weeks, 3 classes, 90-minute periods. That's how we're doing instructional minutes.
Great, thank you. And I'm assuming this kind of what you just talked about, Natalie, touches on students having 3 periods. Could you just talk a little bit about that structure?
Instead of having the normal 6-period day, which we normally have when we're in person at school, in middle school, you have 6 different periods. We're going to a block schedule. So you have longer class periods, but only 3 periods in a day. So that's why they'll have 2 core classes and 1 exploratory. Those will be their 3 classes. I hope that answers the question, Mike, if you don't feel like I'm answering it completely.
Yeah.
All right, next question is, will Avid still be available?
Yes, Avid will still be available. And what we've done is we have shifted Avid to our second and fourth quarters, and to allow those kids to participate in band, orchestra, other electives or exploratory classes that they're interested or want to participate in. So again, so the second quarter, that 9-week period of Avid would be like having a semester's worth of Avid, and in the final quarter of the year, same thing. So we will have Avid.
And a question around, are extended core classes still being offered this year?
Yes, we are still offering extended core classes. We've got extended core at the 6th grade level. All these classes are filled at this time, but we have math and ELA at the 6th grade level, two classes of math and ELA at the 7th grade level, and then we've got the algebra offered at the 8th grade level for math with extended core language arts as well.
Great, thank you. There's some questions about folks wanting explanation around option 4.
Okay. So those students that chose option 4 have been assigned to a staff member at Evergreen. That staff member will work with those students on their self-pacing. And what our goal is right now is to have a week's worth of material available for those students to work on at their own pace or at their family's pace throughout the week. And the hope would be that by the end of that week, or perhaps daily, students would be turning those assignments back into the teacher. They would be assessed, and they're going to be given a grade as well. The goal of doing it in week increments is when we have guidance that we are going to be able to return to our building, our hope is that those students that are in option 4 are in the same place academically that our students that are in option 1 are in, so we can return together. Option 1 and 4 kids would come back to school together.
Great, thank you. Another one came through specifically around, I think this is usually fun for parents, sometimes for kids as well, but picture day, how will that look?
That's a good question. So when we have the ability to transition back to have some in-person instruction, we'll work with LEOs and we'll set up it. There'll be multiple days where, you know, and what we'll do is probably break kids up alphabetically by grade level. And I will have notification that goes out to parents about when their kids will have their pictures taken. But I want to talk to that. It's interesting. Herff Jones is the publishing company for our yearbook. And I was talking to our yearbook advisor this morning as he came in, and he's looking at, well, what's the yearbook going to look like? Are you kidding me, Mike? And he said that Herff Jones has sent some great resources that our kids are going to use. The yearbook will be offered as a class 2nd and 4th quarter. And so I think there's going to be opportunity for our entire student body to really get active with the yearbook. When we have that class that starts up 2nd quarter, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for kids to have an active participation role with that yearbook as we go. But the class pictures or school pictures, as soon as we can, we'll get those set up, and you'll have plenty of notice before that happens for your child.
Great, thank you. Will students still be meeting with their advisory or character strong teachers?
Not at this time. And so that's why it's going to be important. Character Strong has an amazing, it's called Returning Relationally Roadmap set up for our teachers. And so at the start of the year, I spoke briefly about that curriculum. At the start of the year, it's going to be important for our kids to have those activities that they can work through with their teachers, but there won't be a separate advisory class.
Great, thank you. I think a question came through specifically about 8th grade. Let me just clarify here. Will 8th graders still have the opportunity to be involved in media leadership yearbook?
So another good question. The 8th grade media class, we were not able to offer. And so there won't be an 8th grade media class, but those students that applied for and were accepted into leadership and yearbook, yes, they will still have those classes. And again, they won't be offered until we get to our second quarter, and then again, they'd be offered in our fourth quarter.
Thank you. Somewhat related, how would students go about with schedule changes?
That is a good question.
But first, I want to say first, wait and see your schedule. Please wait until Tuesday. Please log in on Tuesday and see your schedule. I'm sure there's going to be hiccups, but we're doing the best that we can. So please wait until Tuesday and know that that is the most accurate version. So if you try to log in and you see something different, wait and check on Tuesday. Then please call the building. And you can either talk to Heather Crooks, who is our new head secretary, and she's listed in the phone numbers, or you can call me, or you can email either one of us or both of us and just say, I'm noticing this is a problem. I thought I was going to have this. I don't have a class here, whatever the case may be. And one of us will get back to you right away. We're going to try to get it all solved Tuesday, and if not, hopefully Wednesday, and just work as fast as we can.
I want to address that briefly. Thanks, Natalie. And just I want students and parents to understand that with so many students that have picked other options, our staffing has changed pretty significantly in the building. And then going from classrooms of 29 students specifically for the sixth graders down to 18, we don't have a lot of wiggle room for students to make different choices. So there'll be opportunities throughout the 4 quarters to change those classes. So really, if you're in band and you've never played an instrument in your life, that's something that you would want to call us and say, whoa, I probably shouldn't be in band. Or same with orchestra, right? If you've got orchestra signed up, or if you're signed up for orchestra and you've never played a stringed instrument in your life, you're not going to want to be in that class. But for the rest of them, for the most part, we don't have a lot of wiggle room to make those changes.
All right, thank you. There was a question that just came through about the webinar being recorded, and yes, that will be posted, but Michael, you could speak more to that if you need to.
Yeah, so it is being recorded. Our slides and the webinar recording itself will be available on our Evergreen Middle School website at some point tomorrow afternoon.
One question about the changes between option 1 and option 4. How might that work if someone wanted to switch options?
So if you've chosen an option and we get into the start of school and that option is just not working for your family, I would ask that you reach out and call me, email me, or Natalie or Anna, but email one of the 3 of us, and we'll work. We want to work with families and students to make sure we have the right fit. And it works successfully. So if there is a change as we get going and a change needs to happen, email one of us and we'll work through that individually with you.
Will option 4 and 1 have the same teacher contacts?
Well, option 4 students will have contact with their teacher, and the way I anticipate that going is that contact will happen at the end of the day, that 2 to 3 time frame. Teachers will be able to check in with those kids. But as far as the live instruction goes, it'll be different. I know a lot of our teachers are planning to record their Zoom sessions and post them into their Blackboard for students who maybe if you miss a day, you can go back and watch the recording of that lesson for the day. And option 4 students are going to be able to do that as well. But as far as the teacher contact goes, I think that last hour of the day is going to be that time for those students to reach out and connect with those teachers if they have questions. I know that our staff is excited to work with all of our kids at with either one of these options. And so please, they all know that I'm telling parents and students to reach out to them via email, via phone. We will work with you.
Great. Next question is around the basketball hoops. Will those be put back up at school?
That's a good question. Right now, the answer is no. They won't be put back up. When we return to some sort of in-person learning, I think it's something we can look at. But for now, no.
Another good question, will attendance be taken so parents who are at work can ensure their student is engaged?
That's a great question. Yes, our teachers have been instructed to take attendance every day, and that attendance will be recorded in PowerSchool. And on that note, the first slide had an attendance hotline. We have that attendance hotline number that you can call in if your student can't participate for the day. It's good to call in and just let us know that they're not feeling well or they're not able to log on. I've had some parents contact me this week saying, hey, we had a trip planned. How should we negotiate this? And I said, we'll just let the teachers know the days that your student is going to miss. And again, I think with this platform, those absences, students really have an opportunity to stay engaged, whether they're at home or on a trip. If they're sick, it's going to be easy as soon as they start feeling better just to grab that Chromebook and get caught back up.
Kind of related to that, what should students or parents do if they are going to be missing class?
Please call the attendance line. And that's, again, it's on the slide, it's 558-3706. But that's what we would ask to do, is that you would call the attendance line so we can mark that as an excused absence.
Great, thank you. Going back to a topic we touched on earlier regarding option 4, when can folks expect more information about option 4?
Well, I would ask that you email me with a specific question about the information. That's kind of open-ended for me right now. I don't know, Natalie, do you have a better answer for that?
Well, I guess I'm envisioning that students, whether they're option 1 or option 4, hopefully will participate in back to school night. So that we are sure that you know how to log into Blackboard and you know how to access the different classes and the teachers. So I think that part is really important, just knowing that you have that access. And then I don't know for sure, but I guess what I'm envisioning is each teacher at Evergreen will have a class list of students. So even if you're not doing school-paced, if your option is self-paced, they'll see you on their attendance sheet. They know you're in their class. So as they start to send messages out through Blackboard or through PowerSchool, I think that will go to the entire class. So I'm feeling like that information will be forthcoming between back to school night and the first day or 2 of school, that things will start to come into you. That's how I'm envisioning it.
Great, thank you. Folks are having questions about if classes will be recorded, especially perhaps in an instance if there are connectivity issues. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, I think teachers plan on recording their live sessions and then placing them into their Blackboard sites for students to refer back and watch those lessons.
And in terms of connectivity issues, how might students go about communicating that, or parents, to their teachers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when those problems arise, the quickest way to get on top of that is with an email. But I would encourage you to call the hotline that the school district has available, depending on what the connectivity issue is, to see if there could be a quick fix or a different resource that's available for those kids. But again, we're going to work with you on those connectivity issues. And so if you can, when you can, you send an email to the teacher, make sure I'm part of that email or one of the counselors is part of that email so we can problem solve together.
Thank you. There are some questions around how often there will be instruction, how many days a week?
Instruction will happen 5 days a week. Yeah, they have our students have their 3 classes, and we will meet with them every day at those structured times: first period, second period, third period, 5 days.
And when students are receiving instruction from a live platform, Will there be any breaks?
I think that's a good question. And as we get to know our students, I know that our staff at Evergreen is going to work with students on breaks, and we'll treat them like the young adults that they are. And if you've got to step away to use the restroom, that kind of thing, if there's something that comes up, a step away from the computer is not going to be a problem at all. But as far as the instruction goes, there'll be some transition breaks where students are maybe going from a full class to, I talked about those breakout rooms. So those will be real small breaks, but I know with individual kids, we can work with our staff. And so we'll work with kids that might need breaks, but there isn't a plan to start a class period. Let's just say first period starts, that we're going to get through halfway through that class and we're just going to stop and take a 10-minute break. That's not part of our instructional plan, no.
Another question, is there a different schedule for late starts on Thursdays?
No, there is no late start on Thursday. So the schedule remains the same Monday through Friday.
And will there be a teacher parent or night conference? Sorry, I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but will there still be an opportunity for parents to meet their teachers?
Yeah, that's another great question. So I'm really hoping that we have, you know, a large number of students and parents that come join us on September 8th to get to know the teacher in that 10-minute session. And then, yes, you can look for more information coming from me, that we'll have another sort of open house night like we normally would in the fall. But I would like to give our teachers at least 2 weeks, if not maybe 3 weeks, before we have another open house opportunity for parents and kids to be in the same meeting with their teachers.
Great, thank you. Going back to virtual instruction and just talking a little bit more about how that looks, there's some questions about expectations of students. Will they be expected to have their video on? What does that look like?
Oh, another great question. So we've developed at Evergreen, we've developed a positive behavior intervention model for virtual online instruction. And our teachers are going to go through that matrix with our kids. We do hope that our kids have their cameras on to have that more personable interaction with their peers and the teachers. And so, you know, look for that. Your kids will know that that's coming. We've got some teach-tos that we are going to do building wide at the start of the school year. So that matrix itself, I'll put that on the website. And so you'll be able to take a look at that as well and see what the expectations are. But with Zoom Pro, moving to Zoom Pro as we have as a school district, it gives our teachers a lot of really neat instructional features that they can use throughout the class period. That's very user-friendly to the kids as well. So it'll be good.
Can I just say one thing about that also? I just want kids to know, I know that some of these students haven't done Zoom, haven't had these kind of meetings, and that feels intimidating. But you can download Zoom at home. I mean, you know, before you get to your teacher's Zoom login and the things that we're going to do Tuesday night and you're going to start Wednesday, Zoom is something you can open and you could just practice with family. I mean, it's been strange for all of us as adults to go to this model also where you're sitting there and you feel like you're looking right at your face and everyone is looking right at you, but it takes some getting used to. But once you practice it a little bit, it feels a little bit more normal. So I want them to know you can practice and you can change backgrounds. There's kind of some fun stuff too. So things to look forward to.
Thank you. For some folks who join late, they may have missed this details about the planner. Could you just touch on that again?
Yes.
Planners are going to be available at school. If it's just about availability, yes, we have them. Yes, they're at school. And yes, you can pick them up anytime between September 8th and September 11th in the front foyer. Please wear your mask. We're encouraging all students to have one. It's a wonderful tool. So please come and grab one.
Thank you. So we're nearing the 7 p.m. mark where we're going to need to transition out of questions. So thanks to everyone for all of your great questions. I know some of you have probably received private responses, and just know we'll be following up on any lingering questions that are out there that we haven't gotten to. So with that, I'll transition it back to Principal Siren.
Okay, thank you, Shireen. And so, you know, I just want to say thanks so much for joining us. The community at Evergreen is amazing, has been since the day I took the job. And again, we're going to do the absolute best we can, working in partnership with you for our kids. I want people to know, and I said this morning in the sneak peek, that I know anxiety is still high for kids, for parents, and I can promise you it's still high for staff as well. But we do know that once we get going into this new system, it's going to be good for our kids, and our teachers are excited. They've received a ton of professional development, and they've been working hard to have the best online platform that we can offer our kids. I would also like to take time to thank Natalie for joining us tonight, and Shireen, the moderator, and Marla, as she was answering questions that people had typed into the Q&A. And I want you to know, if you didn't ask a question or you were worried about asking a question, but you still have a question, please email, call us, right? Send us an email. We'll respond to those questions as quick as we can. Call the secretaries in the office, reach out to Natalie, Anna, myself. We are here to answer your questions and to help you feel good about the start of school next Wednesday. I want to remind you too that all of this information is going to be on our website eventually, and we're sending a sign-in sheet that's going to come in the mail that will be kind of your go-to document that you'll have before Tuesday when we're asking kids to really get into Blackboard itself so they're comfortable. Natalie, anything else?
I can't think of anything. Yes, the document will come hopefully Saturday or Tuesday, and please just stay in touch. There aren't any bad questions, and that's really what we're planning to do. The rest of this week and Tuesday is just support you as parents and students. So call, let us know what we need to, where we need to fill in the gaps.
All right, Grizzlies. We'll see you on Tuesday evening again for our back to school night. Thanks for joining us.